Hello everyone, I am Dr. Anupam here. We will discuss today the ECMO setting and the ventilator setting of our patient while on ECMO. So when the patient is on ECMO, he is actually on an ECMO. At the same time, the same patient is put on a ventilator. So we'll discuss what will be our ECMO setting and what will be our ventilator settings. So let us discuss one by one. So the number one will be ECMO setting. So in ECMO we have three functions, right? So number one is oxygenation. So how to set our ECMO so that oxygenation is maximum? So our formula for oxygenation or the oxygen delivery formula is equal to cardiac output plus oxygen content of the blood, right? So that means cardiac output plus what is the oxygen content of the blood? That is equal to 1.34 into saturation of arterial oxygen into hemoglobin plus 0.03 into partial pressure of oxygen. Correct. So this is our formula for oxygen delivery. So for a proper oxygen delivery to be happen, so the membrane has to be permeable, right? So the integrity of the oxygenator, first point, integrity of the oxygenator, otherwise it is also known as the permeability of the membrane. So in the oxygenator we have a membrane. This membrane has to be, this is the membrane, this membrane has to be permeable enough to allow a gas exchange, right? So what will happen when there will be thrombus formation, the anticoagulation is not enough, or the patient is having heparin-induced thrombocytopenia or DIC, so there will be microclogging of the membrane, and it is in that situation the gas exchange will be hampered, right? So the first point will be the integrity of the oxygenator. Next will come to the cardiac output. This is very, very important, right? Next point is cardiac output. So in ECMO, the cardiac output is actually the pump flow, right? So here the flow of the pump. In the human body, what is cardiac output? In ECMO, it is the flow of the pump. So what should be the ideal flow, right? So the ideal flow is 60 to 80 ml per kg of body weight, right? Which will come in an adult patient is to around 4 to 6 liter per minute. This is number one point. Number two point is the ECMO blood flow or EBF. ECMO blood flow divided by the native cardiac output. This ratio should always be more than equal to 60%. So from where this equation has come? So in this figure we see the blood can go two way. So some of the blood is coming to the ECMO machine and some of the blood can even cross the right heart to the diseased lung and to the left heart, right? So the ECMO is producing a oxygenated blood and some blood will be shunted away from the ECMO to the diseased lung producing deoxygenated blood. So we will not get a pure oxygenated blood. So there will be some mixture always, right? So this is called the shunt blood flow is to ECMO blood flow, and this will produce a mixed oxygen saturation, because the shunt blood flow which is going through the diseased lung will produce a deoxygenated blood, right? And the ECMO will produce a oxygenated blood. So it will produce a mixed oxygen saturation. So it has been found out that if the ECMO blood flow to the native cardiac output is more than 60%, we can minimize the mixed oxygen saturation to a level which is actually compatible with life. So always make sure to produce an ECMO blood flow more than 60% of the patient's cardiac output, right? Or let's say if the patient's cardiac output is 10 liter, then you have to give a ECMO blood flow of 6 liter per minute, right? So, but there is another problem. The problem is in ECMO, we can increase the blood flow up to a limit, not beyond that. Then there will be problem, right? Because if you increase the pump flow beyond a certain limit, what will happen? There will be creation of more negative pressure, there will be chatter. At the same time, because of the high velocity, high flow, there will be hemolysis. So we can increase the blood flow up to a limit. So that is the reason why the next is the hemoglobin. Because in a normal person, we can increase the cardiac output beyond limits, but in ECMO, the cardiac output is limited up to a certain value. So here, this is very, very important. We have to keep the hemoglobin more than 10. In normal ICU patient, we generally keep the hemoglobin target at 7, but in ECMO patient, because you are using the flow of the machine which is limited, we have to increase this component here to increase the efficiency of the ECMO. So hemoglobin will always have to be targeted more than 10, right? And what about this SaO2? So the SaO2, in this case it will be saturation of pre-oxygenated blood. So we'll measure the saturation of the pre-oxygenated blood, that is here SaO2, right, of pre-oxygenated blood, right? And if we give our patient a deoxygenated blood here, then there is every chance that it will get oxygenated because the gradient will be very high. The more the deoxygenated blood, the more is the efficiency of the machine because the gradient will be high. And if we give oxygenated blood to the oxygenator, then its efficiency will decrease, right? More the deoxygenation of pre-oxygenator blood, the more is the efficiency. Of oxygenation, right? So these are the few things that you have to remember. So how to improve oxygenation? 3 things basically. First is the oxygen delivery. So we have to make sure the integrity of the membrane is intact. Second thing will be cardiac output. In this case it is the ECMO blood flow, that is 60 to 80 ml per kg, and it has limit. It cannot increase beyond certain limit without producing complication. So that is the reason why we have to keep the hemoglobin more than 10 to optimize the oxygen delivery. At the same time, the ECMO blood flow divided by the cardiac output should be more than 60%. That means if a patient's cardiac output is 10 liter, he should receive ECMO blood flow more than 6 liter, right? If cardiac output increases beyond that value, then it will be very difficult to provide ECMO blood flow. In that situation, we have to use maneuver to decrease the cardiac output. For example, how you can decrease the cardiac output? If patient is febrile or septic, or patient is having hyperdynamic circulation, so you can use methods like hypothermia, right? Then you can use methods like esmolol. You can treat infection. You can give fluid, right? So these are the methods you have to use. So when a patient's cardiac output is really high, at the time you have to really think about what causing my patient's cardiac output high. Is my patient is febrile, very high grade fever? Is he septic? Or is he having a hyperdynamic circulation because of something else? If you cannot find any solution, you just put the patient into hypothermia. You can use esmolol for a patient. You can give paracetamol, treat infection, antibiotics, everything. That you have to think, right? But always remember the ECMO blood flow has to be 60% of the cardiac output to optimize oxygenation, right? So next will be, second point will be carbon dioxide removal, or it will also be called as ventilation, right? So our patient has hypoxia and hypercapnia, right? So the blender here, it is actually producing the sweep gas. So the sweep gas has a flow, and because it is coming from the blender where we have oxygen and air, it will also produce FiO2. So this is the flow which aids in removing carbon dioxide. This removes carbon dioxide. As it goes through the oxygenator here, as it is going through the oxygenator, it will actually sweep away the carbon dioxide. That is the reason why it is called sweep gas, right? So initially, because the carbon dioxide is very highly soluble, it will immediately clear the carbon dioxide of the blood, but you have to prevent it, right? So initially, keep the sweep flow to minimum. That is to prevent, this will prevent a rapid correction. Otherwise, what will happen? If there is rapid correction, it can produce cerebral edema. So sweep gas flow should be 2 liters per minute, and we can play around 2 to 5 liters per minute in our patient, right? Depending upon what the carbon dioxide level. So what are the things carbon dioxide removal depends upon? So the carbon dioxide removal depends upon 3 things. Number 1 is the sweep gas flow. Number 2 is the integrity, again the integrity or the permeability of membrane, and number 3 is blood flow. This is the minimum. Blood flow helps in oxygenation, but for CO2 removal it is the minimum, and the maximum is the sweep gas flow, right? And the usual setting is 2 to 5 liters per minute. In the beginning you set a minimum to prevent rapid correction, to prevent cerebral edema, because it is very highly soluble, right? Then third is anticoagulation. Because this is an extracorporeal circuit, all these things are happening outside of the body. The blood is actually coming in contact with various mechanical and artificial devices, tubings and all. So it is coming in contact with foreign devices, foreign surfaces, so it can activate coagulation system and the blood can clot, right? So we have to heparinize the patient. So we have to give heparin. So any contraindication to heparin is itself a contraindication to ECMO. So we have to maintain an ACT, it's called activated clotting time, 1.5 times of normal. So what is the normal value of ACT? Normal value is 70 to 120. So we have to keep a value of 1.5 times, that is 105 to 180, right? This we have to, you can check every 6 hourly or 8 hourly, and you have to keep this target 105 to 180 to maintain an adequate anticoagulation, right? So these are the primary methods or primary settings in our machine. So we have to keep a flow of 6 to 8 liters per minute, sweep gas flow 2 to 5 liters per minute. Initial FiO2 we have to keep it 1, then gradually decrease it, right? And we have to heparinize keep activated clotting time 105 to 180, right? So these are the initial setting in our patients, right? Because the ECMO blood flow cannot be increased beyond a limit, we have to decrease the cardiac output if it starts increasing to keep a ECMO blood flow by cardiac output more than 60%, right? And to optimize the cardiac output, we have to keep the hemoglobin more than 10. The saturation of pre-oxygenated blood has to be more deoxygenated blood. The more the deoxygenation of the pre-oxygenated blood, the more is the efficiency of the oxygenator, right? So these are the things that we have to be careful about. So in our next discussion, we'll discuss about the ventilator settings and how to wean from ECMO. Thank you very much.